Welcome, flip clock fans. You may have seen this before on eBay. It's called the Otona no Kagaku radio wave flip clock. Otona no Kagaku. I think that's what it is. That means adult science. And so what these are kits with different science-related projects you can put together. And in this case, it was a flip clock. Now, it was a flip clock of the retro style. And this is just showing some retro stuff from Japan back in the day. Check it out. There's a video sphere. They have one of those with a flip clock in it. It's a good way to show some way to keep time. Here we go. There's a flip clock up there. Just some really cool retro stuff here. This must be the owner of that stuff. We'd like to have him as a member. Look at it. www GeoCities. That does not exist anymore. That went out of commission in 2019 in Japan. So this magazine is from 2013. So it's retro clock in its own right. It goes into different things about how this works. It happens to use radio frequency to set the time. Shows how that works. So it's got some pretty cool science here. Young kids would like this as well. You can see how it encodes the time. And in Japan, their radio is set at 40 kilohertz for the time signal. In the United States, it is 60 kilohertz. So this would not work in the United States in that regard. As a regular clock, it works. Now, I do not know who this guy is or what his deal is, but he made, on some blank tiles, he made like a flip book. This clock does have a function sort of like that where you can do that. I'll show you that later. And other things it does. Here it shows how you can make some common measures with your body parts. Like I said, this would just really appeal to a teen or something like that, or even younger maybe. But I just saw this thing, and I've seen it on eBay, and this one came up for a pretty decent price. And I just wanted to see what it was all about. Now, by design, it does not have a cover on the battery. Just gives it that kind of, I don't know, mechanical look. There's the antenna. And here's how you advance the minutes. Now, I'll show you something else here. If you push and hold that button for about 3 seconds, it'll do the flip book function. Now, the hour will do it as well, but it won't do it at the same time unless you do something else. I'll show you that here in a second. So it'll come all the way around to 3. Now, I did build this thing, and I was thinking about showing how to build it, but I thought, man, that's got a limited application. Not many people are really going to want to know, because the instructions are all in Japanese. So I took the battery out. I bleed off the power. You have to do that. Now, when I put the battery back in, it'll zero itself out. So there you got a double flip book going on if you wanted to do that. Now, the zero out function is important for time setting. It's also important for building this clock, because the clock has to know where 0, 0 is. So you have to put the tiles in starting right there. There's a notch on the wheel, and that's how you do it. I had seen in the instructions where you're supposed to put the battery in. I couldn't at that point before you put the tiles in, and I could not figure that out. And it wasn't until later that I saw that taking the battery out and putting it in will zero it out for you. You can see here how it works. The motor will push that wheel, causes that to rise up and advance the minutes. This is a position sensor. I'm going to show you how that works here in a second. There'll be a little indentation come up around the wheel. And it's going to let the clock know where 0, 0 is. Just to let you know, everything on the right side when you're facing the clock, here's that indentation, is black wires. So the motor has a black and red wire on the right side, and on the left side it's blue and red. Here you see the indentation. It's going to push that contact until it's touching, and it'll let the clock know when it's getting ready to drop 0, 0, and then there's a ledge and it'll drop off. So I took the battery out. I'm going to put it back in. And it drops off. And now it's doing it on the hour. So it needs to know that. So if it's going to use a radio function, it's got to know where the clock is at. And that's how it does it. And drop off right there. Of course, that function does not work in the United States. You can't hardly see the notches I was talking about earlier. Now, the digits 0 to 11 have 2 hour cards for each hour. And after that, here it starts 3. So it does that so that there's 60 cards on that wheel to match the minutes. And again, the clock needs to know exactly what hour it's working on to know how many to advance. So it's a pretty cool little clock for what it is. And I'm sure you've noticed this sucker is loud. It's probably the loudest clock that's in my house now. And I've been getting complaints about it just running, so I'm thinking I'm just going to have to pull the battery out of it. It's just what it is. Again, I wanted to get this clock because I've seen it. I was just interested in it. And I wanted to see what it was all about. I thought you guys would like to see that as well. Well, there it is. The Otona no Kagaku Pata Pata Toki Radio Wave Flip Clock. Thanks for taking the time.